morning and welcome to Monday of Lakewood's Next Daily Devotions. My name is Scott Walker. I'll be with you all week. Look forward to spending about 5 minutes together each morning. And we're continuing to work through the Sermon on the Mount. We've reached Matthew chapter 7, which is the third and final chapter that is the Sermon on the Mount. And so we're going to look at a few verses together today, really just one, maybe part of the second verse in Matthew chapter 7. It begins by saying this. Jesus says these words, "Judge not, that you be not judged." Judge not, that you be not judged. Jesus kind of, as he gets into this part of the teaching, he is going to really hit on something that most of us are not very good at. If we're being honest with ourselves, most of us are actually pretty good at being critical of other people. If we just allow ourselves to be a little bit honest, most of us find it pretty easy to think of something negative to say about someone else. We may not really want to, we may not just set out to do that, but it comes pretty natural to us that we could think or say something that's negative about somebody else. And, when I think about judging others, we could go all the way back to the beginning. We could go all the way back to the garden and Adam and Eve, and we begin to see remnants of this from the very beginning. If you remember, after Adam and Eve sinned for the first time, and God comes back walking in the garden, and he begins to talk with them, and they begin to give their reasons for why they had chosen to disobey God. And if you remember, Adam says, "It was this woman that you gave me. That's why I ate of the fruit." And when God looked at the woman, she said, "It was because of the serpent." And so when you go all the way back to the garden, you see that it has kind of been there from the beginning, that we know how to blame, we know how to criticize, and we know how to judge. And that's what Jesus is getting at in this verse. Judge not, that you be not judged. And then he goes on in verse 2 to say, "For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." This is what I would call a boomerang effect. Jesus is saying, listen, with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. With the judgment that you pronounce on others, that will come back on us. You hear the word karma all the time, which is based on another religion, and yet we understand the principle that you reap what you sow, that what you put out there is going to come back to you. And Jesus is saying that very thing. He's saying, do not judge. He's saying that the way that you and I treat others comes back on us. God tells us that the measure that you use, the way that you treat other people, the measure that you use on others will be used on you. There's so much for us to take from this, that the way we treat people matters. The way that we talk to people matters. The way that we talk about people matters. The way that we think about people matters. It matters to them. It matters to God. And even right here, Jesus is teaching us that it matters to us. Because what we throw out there and what we put on other people and the way we speak to other people, ultimately we're going to feel those things back to ourselves. So today, as we think about what God's doing in our lives, what's next, I would just ask you this. What would happen if we figured this out? What would happen if we followed our leader and figured this out? If we learned to put away the judging, if we learn to speak life to people, if we learn to offer grace to people, how much would it change our relationship with other people? And how much would it change what we experience in our own life? Because Jesus is telling us that what we throw out there towards other people, it's going to come back to us. So I want to bless you today, encourage you to think about the way you speak, the way you think about other people. Let's follow our leader. Let's listen to Jesus.